Hello everyone and welcome to Sunshine's Reform Training Episode 3. It's been a long time coming, but this is the last episode about Sunshine's Reform Training, and the reason why is because we have now gotten to May, and May is actually the month that Michaela walked the stage at graduation. Michaela graduated college at the end of Sunshine's Reform Training. If you haven't seen the other two episodes, you might be a little confused, but the point of the reform training was to get Sunshine ready to walk the stage at graduation with Michaela. And basically, I thought that this would be kind of a good place to stop, obviously, because of the fact that, we would be finishing with her graduating. So I did the first episode, which was just kind of like getting started. The second episode was all of April, and this episode will be all of May and kind of the end of the series. So a lot of what we did in May was work on Sunshine's reactivity around dogs, children, and around sort of her reactivity to sudden noises and movements. And when I say reactivity, obviously I do not mean aggression. Reactivity and aggression are two very different things. Reactivity just means a non-neutral reaction to a stimulus. So if there is a stimulus of a noise, and the dog reacts to it, meaning that they do not react neutrally, that means they are reactive to that stimulus, which is fine. It's not necessarily a terrible thing. There's sometimes where you want the dog to react because you are training them for something specific that they have to react to, like a certain behavior that their handler is doing that you need them to interrupt or alert to. However, in this situation, we want to make sure Sunshine is completely neutral to other dogs, to children, to noises, that kind of thing. So a lot of what we were doing during this time was making sure that she was very neutral to those things so that when she was walking the stage at graduation, she was handling it well. The other thing that we were working on during this time, which if you'll notice and you look at my videos, we do this a lot, was confidence building. We were making sure that Sunshine was confident enough that if something were to come along that would scare her, she would be less likely to be scared by it. And this helps to make sure that she generalizes our desensitization training. And what I mean by that is when we train her to not be afraid of big, loud carts, we also want her to not be afraid of like a janitor pushing a big trash can or something. We want her to generalize that, hey, I shouldn't react to big, loud noises. We want her to generalize that and be like, oh, I shouldn't react to any big, loud noises. Not just the one that we desensitize to or the 5 that we desensitize to, if that makes sense. So a lot of the confidence building that I do with my dogs is physical confidence building. And the reason that I do it that way is because it's easier for the dog to understand if we do it in a physical way. So as you can see in the clips that I'm showing here, what we did is we went to a skate park, and even though Sunshine was originally afraid to run up and down the ramps, we were able to get her to do it by using a safe harness and making sure that she never failed at climbing up the ramp. There was never a point where she would try to run up the ramp and she wouldn't make it. She would always make it because of our intervention or because of her own ability. So this built her confidence up thinking, wow, even though it seemed like I couldn't do it, I could. So that helped her. As well as, if you'll notice in some of our other videos, we would go to places like Home Depot or Lowe's where they had those big, loud carts, and we would have the dogs ride around on them. That's very confidence building as well, because it teaches a dog that this scary thing is definitely not that bad, and I can actually sit on it and be totally fine. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about confidence building and why we do what we do in this video specifically, just because there are so many videos on my channel where I talk about it, so many vlogs and stuff like that. But I just sort of wanted to give you guys a little bit of an intro into a big part of what this episode of Reform is a lot of confidence building. We also started to work on some fine-tuning of the techniques that we needed for specific things like tucking under the chair where we knew that she was going to be during graduation, and walking along areas without sniffing or, poking your head out towards anything. Because we wanted to make sure that when she walked across the stage, she wasn't sniffing at anybody. So we worked on those very specific like skills that we needed her to have for the actual day of graduation. And that's kind of all we worked on during this time was, working on that desensitization, reactivity stuff, confidence building, and specific skills in relation to the actual event that we were prepping for. So without any further ado, let's get into the episode starting with May 1st. On May 1st, we went to a baseball stadium that is actually pretty close to where we live when we're living at college. And the nice thing about this was that there were two baseball games going on at once, so there was one behind us and one in front of us. We plopped down on a table kind of pretty close to where the game was going on, right by the fence. We put a blanket on the doggies to keep them warm, and we just kind of sat there and watched the game and used it as a sort of watch the ducks session. Now, when I say watch the ducks, you might not know what I mean, but watch the ducks is actually a training game that you can play with your dog, where basically you just allow them to sit and kind of watch what's going on around them, and unless they're hyper focusing on something and you think that they might react, you don't correct them. Even if they're staring at something and just sort of staring off into the distance, or they're getting distracted and they're not focusing on you, you just sort of let them do that. And after you're done with that game, you can actually move into the Make Your Choice game. And the Make Your Choice game is what Michaela and Sunshine are playing in this clip. Basically, as you can see, Michaela is just sort of watching Sunshine and waiting for her to make her choice. She has two choices. She can either look around at everything that's around her and just sort of take in all the stimuli going on around her and, take that as a positive, or she can look at Michaela, and if you notice, when she does look at Michaela, Michaela will actually click and give her a treat and let her know, yes, that is what you're supposed to do. By rewarding her, she's making sure that Sunshine isn't necessarily being corrected for looking at her surroundings, but she is being rewarded for making the choice to look at Michaela and make that choice. So we're not punishing her for looking at things around her, because we don't want her to have that negative association and be afraid when things are going on around her, because we don't want her to think that those noises and that stimuli are necessarily going to punish her automatically. But we do want her to realize that the reward is, even when those other stimuli are going on, that looking at Michaela, looking at her handler, and giving her her attention and focus will get her the reward that she wants. The step after that would then be standing up and having your dog run through commands or doing some heel drills, just to kind of show that despite the distractions going on around them, they can still focus and do their job. The next couple days, Michaela and I had some finals, and we just sort of spent the time working around the apartment on building some structure and working on her tasks and stuff at home. So on May 3rd, she did get to do a lot of shred boxes and puzzles, and we just kind of allowed her to do that sort of thing and exercise to sort of get her energy out. On May 4th, we spent a lot of the day just doing a lot of outside activities. So we worked on some confidence building at this park. As you can see, we went up on these swings. I do have some pictures of Toby and Arlo on these swings too. They're definitely great for confidence building, and Sunshine did awesome on them. We also did some of the slides and just some of the other things that I thought were safe for her, because she's still young, so her joints are still growing. But we definitely had them get up and down on the tables, that kind of stuff, and the benches. So we used a lot of the different areas there for confidence building activities that I think really helped her. She was definitely having a lot of fun on this particular park outing. And then to end the night off, we actually went over to the dog park after basically everyone had gone home. So the dog park was empty, and we went inside and we had Sunshine do some heel and go free commands, where basically she was allowed to sniff around and sort of smell all of the, dog smells, where all the dogs were all excited and all over the place and stuff like that, but they weren't there anymore. And then she was expected to go back into heel and focus. This, I think, was probably the best thing we did this day. It definitely allowed her to get ready for what we were going to do within the next couple days. May 6th, we hit one of our favorite training spots, which is Petland. and we worked on her just ignoring the dogs. So obviously we started in the same way as before, which is the watching the ducks game and then the make your choice game, and that's this clip right here is the make your choice game. And eventually we would move into the phase where we allowed her to stand up and do some of her heel drills and commands and expect her to still be able to focus when she was around these very rowdy, loud puppies.
Yes! Yeah! Good job! Good choice. Did you see that? She did that all by herself.
After that, we decided to hit another pet store where we worked on some of her, like, not sniffing while walking past things. And we decided to work on this in the pet food aisle because obviously she would struggle with that because obviously it smells like dog food. So we just had Michaela and Sunshine walk in a heel down this aisle and practice not sniffing at things.
Heel.
Very good. That was good, sweetie. Then we hit the mall to work on our tucking under a chair, which she started to do really, really good at and be able to settle, so that was good. While we were in the mall, we decided to do some practice where Sunshine would just be walking in a heel and Michaela would be doing one of her behaviors that Sunshine would be trained to interrupt. And we would see if Sunshine would be able to notice and interrupt the behavior while she was walking. And she actually did really well with it.
Yes!
Good job.
Very good.
Our last stop of the night is actually now one of my favorite places to train, Chuck E. Cheese. And the reason that it's such a great place to train is there is so much going on. And it's not just, oh, there's a sound coming from this machine. There's a kid running over here. No, there's kids running everywhere. There's food everywhere. There's machines going off everywhere, lights, sounds, things moving. There's big costumes, the animatronics. It's just such an overstimulating environment. And so while it might be difficult for me to go in, it's actually an awesome place for us to train. So bringing Sunshine here was still an amazing idea, and I'm so glad that we have this outlet for us to train at still. On May 9th, we went back to the dog park, but during the day. So we knew that there wouldn't be a ton of dogs there because we went kind of in the middle of the day, but we knew that there would be some dogs there, which is perfect because we wanted to start with just a couple. I had the two of them work on heel drills and command drills while walking outside of the fenced park. And we originally had them start at the far end where there wasn't a ton of dogs, and then we slowly had them get closer and closer to where all the dogs would be. After that is when we hit the skate park for some confidence building. You already saw the clips of that at the beginning, but here's some of the fun pictures that we took that day. Basically, we just let the dogs kind of run all over the park. There was nobody else there, and we were, following our own dogs to make sure that they always made it up the ramp when they started up the ramp, because otherwise it wouldn't be that much of a confidence building activity. So we always made sure that when they tried something, they always succeeded. That is a lot of what confidence building is with dogs, is just making sure that they, despite the fact that they think, oh, maybe I won't be able to do this, we make sure that they always, always, always can. And here it wasn't that difficult because both dogs were plenty able to get up and down the ramps all by themselves, and they were really, really great here. The 10th, we just kind of spent at home. We had Sunshine do a bunch of puzzles and a couple shred boxes in her crate. May 11th, we actually drove back into town and spent the whole day really ramming through a bunch of things that we wanted to make sure were really down pat before graduation. We did some more heel drills as well and wanted to make sure that she was really well focused during heel, so we did some more of that tasking while walking thing just to make sure that she was really, really, really focused when they were walking together, and that would also keep her from sniffing at things while they passed them. Go again. Sunshine.
Leave it.
then we took a quick break for some deep pressure therapy practice. And that's when we moved on from mounds in the pet store area, and we decided to do some outside work and then go over to the mall. In the mall, we worked on a lot of healing past crowds and healing past the places in the food court that had food. That way she was, not really allowed to sniff at those things and was expected to stay focused on Michaela as they were healing past them. And Michaela would give the heal command and the leave it command, but she wasn't really allowed to give a ton of other corrections or commands. And Sunshine was just sort of expected to kind of know what to do. So during this time, we spent a lot of time fine-tuning that because graduation was just in a couple days. After the food court, we went to another little area and we worked on some task stuff as well, just to make sure that she would be able to task at the event. And she did perfectly with that, so we didn't really have to work on that a ton. And then, just for fun, I decided to take Michaela to Red Lobster to kind of celebrate her graduation. And it was the first time she'd ever been there, and also I love Red Lobster, so it was awesome. And the dogs got a pretty good training experience of tucking for like a really long time. So Sunshine was able to successfully handle that, and she was able to be pretty chill at the restaurant. So we definitely had like a really awesome time. I absolutely love Red Lobster, and I think that Michaela liked going out to dinner for her graduation, and it was definitely a good training experience for Sunshine too. May 12th was definitely a relaxed kind of day. We spent a lot of the day packing, but we also spent a lot of the day sort of relaxing and just sort of recovering from the busyness of the day before and the busyness of the days to come. May 13th was the day before Michaela graduated, and this section of video is not going to be super pleasing to watch, but I wanted to make sure I included it. Basically, this is us walking around and practicing at the actual graduation hall. And the reason that it's all discolored and stuff is because I'm doing my best to like sort of hide where we go to school. Obviously Michaela's graduated, so it doesn't really matter. But for me, it does still matter because I still live there and I still go to school there for at least another year. So I do kind of want to keep that at least sort of private, at least until I graduate. So I changed some of the colors in these videos and I tried to block out like the most obvious portions of the name. So obviously if there's anybody trying to dox me in the comments, I'll take care of it, but just don't do that. But the reason I wanted to include these clips is because I wanted to show sort of what our practice looked like. We had her sort of practice settling in the area where they were going to sit. We had her practice walking around on the stage and just getting comfortable with the fact that the stage made noise when she walked on it, and getting comfortable with the fact that all the fans were going to be blowing, and getting comfortable with how Michaela would be walking. Originally, we wanted Michaela to be able to practice this in her gown, but it was just so hot and we didn't want her to get heat exhausted the day before her graduation, so we just had her wear normal clothes. But we did do several practice runs of them actually walking across the stage with people standing on it, with people not standing on it, just so that Sunshine could get as comfortable with the area as possible before the actual day of graduation. Overall, the practice went really well. And then on May 14th, Michaela graduated. She got her bachelor's degree, and I got to watch from a more quiet and safe room for me and Arlo. So it was really nice. They had this classroom set up where you could watch a live feed of the actual graduation happening literally in just the next room. So it was really awesome, and Sunshine and Michaela did great walking across the stage. And that's all she wrote. Michaela walked the stage at her college graduation with her service dog in training, Sunshine, and I am very happy to have been a part of it. It was a lot of work, and it was definitely very stressful and very tiring, but I'm so glad we did it because I know that Michaela definitely would have had a harder time at her college graduation if Sunshine wouldn't have been able to walk with her. So for those of you who I know are watching this, I want to say thank you to the trainers at my program that I work with for helping me, because I know without your help, we definitely would not have been able to do this. And, I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. And, without your support, I'm sure that Michaela would have had a really difficult time feeling like she could do this. And it was really hard on her, and it was definitely hard on me. And we couldn't have done it without your guys' support. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys in whatever I decide to make next. Bye.